Okay, I'm here with a great new friend of mine. Me new, I've known her less than what, 2, 3 years. And Ingrid, you and I were at the IANS conference in Philadelphia just last Labor Day, 2019, I believe it was.
Yes, it was.
And we had the great pleasure of both of us speaking there. And you've written a great book, which you sent me, which I hope you'll share on the screen when you get a chance. And you have a unique story uh, about a near-death experience when you were a toddler, 2, 3, 4, whatever year it was, a drowning experience, which a lot of people that have heard, maybe people not watching my YouTube video channel have heard, but a lot of other people have heard. So I want you just to kind of touch on that a little bit. That's from your childhood in Colombia, South America, and uh, and then a lot of people miss out on the real you. They hear the near-death story, they go, "Oh, that's it." But knowing you as long as I have, we know that's scratching the skin. That's not fully who you are and who you've come to be and all of your experiences, because you got some unique, what would only be called mystical experiences, dealing with spirits on the other side, intuition, events, and things in your life, which I think are actually more interesting than the near death experience itself. So, for enhancement of those watching this so they're educated, we'll start with your near death experience, tell them who you are, how it happened, and then if we could progress from there, because I'm going to let you rip, I'm just let you go here. I'm going to let you get into what I think is your real message, which is the rest of your life and what happened after that and how it's affected you. So, Ingrid, if you wouldn't mind.
This is great. Thanks so much, Reverend Bill. It's been amazing to meet you, to know you, to get to be friends the last couple of years. I really admire you and your experiences. You're just so inspiring. So thank you for having me here. And yeah, like you mentioned, my whole path of awakening awareness open to me started for me when I had that near death experience. I was close to 3 years old. I fell into a tank of frigid water. I drowned. And there's when I came out of my body, saw my body suspended in the water, and had the absolute clarity that, oh, yeah, that's my body. And that already happened many times. So I could experience the eternity of Ingrid at that moment. And something that was incredible is that throughout the experience, I was able to meet the lady that's supposed to be taking care of me that morning, but she was just listening to soap operas in her bedroom. And when I saw her, she just didn't even realize what was happening to me. Then I moved on and I went to meet my mom. And my mom had left for work. She was walking down the street, and then is when I appeared on her path, and I was looking at her from above, and I said, "Oh, that's mom." And at that moment, my mom stopped. That was, I mean, her intuition was incredible. But I always say, Bill, it wasn't just the intuition, but the fact that she could listen and pay attention to that call. She turned around, she went back home, and incredibly, she was the one that found me in the tank and got me out and saved my life. And the lady that's supposed to be taking care of me just few feet away didn't even realize what was happening. So that in this whole story is absolutely incredible, because it shows us that incredible communication, that the love doesn't have barriers. How it don't matter. I was in the realm of the light. I was already in the realm of the spirit. My mom was here and we could communicate, and then she saved me. So this is amazing. But throughout that whole experience, I realized that the core of the essence of what I was presence, was silence, was stillness, even to the point that I went to that place that I call the non-self, or the state of nothingness. People get scared when I say nothingness, but it's just, why do I say nothingness? Because it goes out of the realm of what we know. It's like when you go out of the box and now everything you think you knew is not. You are more than you ever imagined. You just touch that infinity, that full potential, that wow, that what we will call touching source, knowing who you are. So that was amazing. And coming back from this near-death experience, like you mentioned, if someone wants to know more in detail, they can find it in my book. They can watch all my other videos, go to my website.
Your book was a joy to read for a lot of reasons. It's not your normal near-death experience, and it's not just about that. It expands beyond that much, and it gives a lot of insights about your contact with the spiritual world and spirits and all that afterwards, which I know that's where you're going to be leading to. But strongly recommend the book. It's good reading. And if people really want to know more, there are videos out there. And in fact, Anthony Chenet, the French filmmaker, actually from France, it's a good place for a French filmmaker to live, right? He did a wonderful documentary on you that's worth seeing, and that would catch him up on that. But we're gonna take another path today, because everybody, or the people that are really interested in this and know you, they're pretty much familiar with that. What they don't really know is, after you had this experience and you found that you're able to communicate with your mother, of course, at that age, you didn't question that long. I can have my mother on the other side, right? What started happening in your life? What started to unravel, change, get better, insightful?
Yes, that was incredible, Bill, because when I came back, I had an awareness I did not have before. Even though it's so little and it's kind of weird to say that, but yes, it was that clear. I saw my parents and I'm like, oh, just my parents, they're my equal, because I experienced oneness. And I also had abilities I didn't have before. No long after my near death, I could read, write, resolve mathematical problems, put together complex puzzles. And then I started to have what is known today as out-of-body experiences. And then I was going back to the realm of the light I experienced during my near death. And every time I would go to bed, I was just back in that incredible state of inner peace, inner calmness, and I would just be in the presence of joy. And in one of these journeys, one day I started to see lights that were shining absolutely everywhere. And in another journey, one of these lights shaped itself into a human form, and it touched me. And it is when I said, oh, you are a being of light. Then after that connection with what I call being, I was 4 years old by the time when I was already seeing them in form. And then imagine was the knowing we're not alone for real. And then this connection became just stronger and stronger. And there was a point in which I started to see them here in the physical realm too, not just when I was sleeping. And it was a day I was taking a shower, and then I was relaxing, and one like a huge blue intense light appeared in the bathroom. And it's when I said, now the beings of light are here. And it was when not long after that I would throw tantrums, Bill, because I didn't feel attachment with my persona. When I came from my near-death experience, I look at my body, I look at myself, and I would say, I am not this child. I am more than this. And I will hear my name and I would say, that is not my name. So it's when they asked me one evening, like they were calling me for dinner and I wouldn't go. And it's, Ingrid, we're calling you. And I said, don't call me like that. That is not my name. And it's when the lady said, then what is your name? And I say, I do not need one. Then that's when the beings of light started to actually communicate with me with words. And they said to me, like almost like in a whisper, like, hey, it's going to take time for them to understand that names are not needed in the realm of the light. Oh, this was incredible, because for me was the sense of like, I am not crazy. I knew it. I knew that names were not needed. So that was there, that connection just became stronger. The beings of light started to communicate with me almost like in a daily basis. And it was the sense that I was so loved, so, oh my God, Bill, up to that point, I was born as a very sick child. After the accident, I became sicker. And since I didn't want to be here, I stopped talking to my sisters, my parents. I didn't want to eat. It was really hard times. And the moment that the beings of light started to appear here, and I started to feel that presence, that love, that joy, I started to heal. I started to communicate with my parents, my sisters. I started to feel better. And the more that connection, the more stronger it became. It was the sense of like, I am home. I don't need to die. I don't need to go anywhere to feel that I am at home. I felt that sense of home. I just found it right here. And just by strengthening that communication is that things started to become more, I would say, incredible, or what we call mystical miracles, mystical experiences, people call them, started to happen in my life. So that channel of communication and going always to that space of inner peace would be the key. Well, that's why something I teach today and something I want to bring people to understand is only by quieting your mind, only by going to that space of stillness, of silence, is that you can actually open the door to have that communication with the realm of the light, and with guides and spirits and beings of light and ascended masters. Because if we have the door closed, we cannot hear. You know, something amazing that happened not long ago, the beings of light said to me, because I always mention, I said, after my near-death experience, when I came back, it's like the doors didn't close for me. And the answer was, of course, the doors didn't close because there is no door. The realm of the light, or the kingdom of heaven, whatever we want to call, is there for everyone. The sun, as an analogy, the sun is always shining. We are the ones that create the door. We are the ones that put a window, that close that door, that close that window, and don't allow the sun to shine through. So it is our work to go back to the space of quieting the mind and open that door again. So thanks to that incredible, amazing connection, Bill, these things that happen that are pretty much almost for people that haven't had these kind of experiences, they can say that's not true, that's impossible, that's not real. But this is another thing the beings of light told me. They say there are always going to be witnesses. In everything that is going to happen in your life, there's going to be a witness. Why? Because they say all these experiences that you are having and all the ones that you are going to have, so they were already telling me there's more stuff coming, are all to share. So you can help others and help yourself to just open that door. It's the path of awareness, the path of self-awareness, self-realization. And so they said to me, all this is not for you to keep, it's for you to give. So if there's no witnesses, it's always, for many people, hard to believe that these things really happen. So one of these incredible experiences happened with a friend of mine. He was a person that the beings of light showed to me before I even met him. They said, I had this vision, like I pretty much is like having an out-of-body experience when I was in his bedroom. And I saw a guy from above, and I said, who's this guy? And they say, you're going to meet him. Oh, where? Why? Because he's ready. And then they say you will meet him in the cafeteria. I was already in college, and you're going to introduce, you both are going to pretty much meet and introduce yourselves. Okay. And it happened exactly like that. I wasn't planning it. I wasn't thinking about it. I was in college. I went to the cafeteria, sat in a table, and when I sat in this, he was right in front of me, right in front of the table, and I'm like, whoa, that's the guy of my vision. So I started to kind of smile, and he looked at me like, who's this girl? But that was that connection. And after that, we just say hi. We met again. We kept talking, and we just became really good friends. And I started to talk to him a little bit about these things that have happened in my life. And he was a person that at the moment, he didn't believe in anything, and he was very angry because he had been born with like a genetic um, condition in which half of his body had like a stain, like blood vessels that would create a stain in his body and his face. So he was angry at the world because he thought it was unfair. And then I would talk to him, and there was moments in which when our relationship became really, really close, that I would open my hands. I would just feel this tingle feeling in my hands, and I would open my hands, and there would be light. And there would be like a little sparkles, or like almost like glitter of light coming out of my hands. And he was not the only person to see it. And he will come touch it, and he would say, how is this possible? How is this possible? And I say, how can you have that? I said, it's not only me, you have it too. We are light. This is what we are. And he's like, I cannot understand this. And he would just, even he was seeing things. Sometimes he would have tried to find the logical way to explain what was happening. And then there was a moment in which I would get mad sometimes at him because he would just be so analytical, thinking there's an explanation for this. And I remember one day we went for a walk. There was 3 homeless people. They approach us, and in Colombia, I mean, that means you're going to be robbed. Everything is going to be taken away from you. And when the people they surround us, we had our bags, our jackets, everything. It means in a situation like this, there in Colombia, it means you're losing everything. And then they surround us. My friend was standing there, and they took his wallet, they took his bag, they grabbed his watch, and they pulled it out of his wrist because he was just not doing anything. Because they asked for his watch, and he wasn't even moving. He was just like in shock. He was just looking at me. And at that moment, I am in the scene, Bill, but I cannot move. I am like if I am in the state that I am observing what is happening, but I cannot do anything. And one of the guys was right here, the other right here, like I am not there. And then my friend was in shock too, but it was a different kind of shock. He was like, what is happening? They took the watch out of his wrist, and they scratched his arm. They left. And then at that moment, I was able to react. And I said to him, what happened? Your arm is bleeding. Are you okay? And he said, I don't care about my wallet. I don't care about the watch. I don't care. I'm bleeding. The only thing I care is you were not here. They couldn't steal anything from you because you were not here. And that was the day, finally, after being friends, and he's seeing things, talking about spiritual, he having experiences that were out of his league. It just needed something so shocking for him to actually realize, wow, yes, there's definitely more than this physical reality. And that day at night, I already been talking with the beings of light for years. And I said, what just happened? And then it was amazing because they said to me, by now you should know that nothing is impossible. And I said, but I didn't know you could make people disappear. And they said, you see it, nothing is impossible. And then I said to him, but why this? And they said, because sometimes extreme measures are needed for someone to wake up. And it's when I asked, are extreme measures needed for everybody? And they said, no, everybody has their own path, and everybody's ready in their own way. And all of us will meet these experiences that we need in life to actually shake us hard and wake up. But since the beginning, they told me, when I saw him for the first time, they say he's ready. So I guess you already been um, living his path of awakening for who knows how long, all his lives, and now he was ready to wake up. And after that, he became very, of course, I mean, with something like this, now it touched the core of who you are. He became very spiritual and started to share his message, and even used his condition to show others the purpose of challenge. What was all this for? So that's incredible how each one of us, with the traits, with our uniqueness, we all have a purpose, and we all have something to share.
Didn't you get into some danger in Colombia when you were working with the special forces, American special forces, along the coastline when you were working in a marine biology research project or something? Didn't some rebels come or something? What was the story on that?
No, that was actually earlier in my life too. Another experience. This is when, wow, Bill, when we have create this connection and this way to open our mind to clarity, things get resolved. That was another incident in which, again, this was another friend, completely different person. I am in this. We went to this beach to snorkel, and we were just having a great time. The place looked like a paradise. So these are the contrasts in life. You know, you can just be in something that resembles paradise, and the worst thing could happen. So again, we just, it's, people will ask, oh God, all these incidents. But just to give you a little point of reference, Colombia at some point was declared as between the 10 most dangerous countries in the world. So it was easy sometimes to be exposed to a lot of danger. So this was a situation in which we're in this beach and we were about to leave, and this is kind of coincidental almost, because it was three men again. Three men appear, and again it's like, oh, they didn't look too friendly, and they were not friendly at all. They came to take all our things. So, okay, being robbed again. And then at this moment, the guys tied my friend hands with a rope, and they had knives, and one of them had a sharp piece of glass. And they put the glass in his neck, and they were about to cut his neck, Bill. And at that moment, you know, this is incredible, because after my near-death experience and all the other experiences I had the absolute clarity, the knowing that I did not fear death. But you don't really know if that's true, because that could be just a mental thing. But this day, I proved that it was true. Because the moment I'm seeing this horrible scene in which they are about to cut him with a piece of glass, I didn't want to see it. I was petrified in fear. Imagine the terror, we're going to be killed. And then I turned my head at that moment, and I saw the horizon, and it was the most beautiful ocean, and the sun was just touching the water, sparkling light. And I'm like, at that moment, again, this whole process, this whole thing of quieting the mind and putting that, I say we're like radios, putting the dial in the right, tuning myself into that connection, made me feel that I was at peace. the fear was gone. And then I look at that ocean, and the first thought that crossed my mind, Bill, was today is a good day to die. I completely surrendered to that. I surrendered to the moment. There was nothing. There was nothing to do. There was not even any more thoughts in my head. I was empty. Again, that sense of emptiness, but fullness was there. There was nothing to fear. It was the trust. And then at that moment, one of the guys, imagine I was like 98 pounds. This guy was like 200 pounds. He pushed me on the ground, and he was about to rape me, the other two waiting in line. And then, but now I was not Ingrid. I was my super me. I was like, I couldn't even feel the weight of this guy. I didn't have thoughts. I never even thought this will happen, this don't happen in future, but nothing. And then the guy was going to do whatever he was going to do. His head was looking down, and I grabbed his face. And I put his eyes in my eyes at that moment. I look at him. He's just there lying here. And I said, dear, don't do this. This guy looked at me, and he jumped like a coil. And he told the other two, we are leaving. And then they didn't even fight him, nothing. The power of this moment was incredible. And the three men left. But the incredible thing, Bill, is what I experienced at that moment doesn't even have explanation for the mind that can think that there's enemies. But at this moment, that man and I were one. At that moment, it's like all his layers fell off. Like all his conditioning was gone. And this person and I experienced a moment of oneness. And then I stood up from the ground, and I knew that that was going to go away. Because of course it was too conditioned, so that moment was going to last short. And I knew they were going to come back. So I untied my friend, and I said, they're going to come back, we have to go. But the way the beach, the place was shaped, it was hard because there was like mountains with rocks. So this was like an enclosed beach. And then we couldn't leave from like one of the sides of this beach because there was like a cliff going into the ocean, and the currents were strong. So, and I wasn't a good swimmer. The other way was the way in which the guys left. So the only choice was to climb the mountain. And it was a cliff. But this is the other thing. I mean, I guess we were young, we were strong, but it was the sense like we were being almost held up, and we climbed that cliff. And when we were at the top, I told my friend, go down in the bushes, go down, they're back. Because like I said, the beach was enclosed. So for them to leave, they had to go also around another mountain of rocks. So at that moment when I said, lower your head down, they're back, they actually were back. And this guy is like, what just happened? How did you know they were going to come back? Why did they leave? This is what, and this is another person, he was atheist, he didn't believe in anything. So at that moment, I just say, be quiet. And we were just remain quiet there. And then when they finally left, because they just, they wasn't going to try to find us or anything, then they left. I said to him, you didn't believe in miracles? You didn't believe in guardian angels and God? Then this is the moment. And this transforms, of course, this person's life. Things like these are impossible to, I mean, this is touching you in the core of your being. We finally were able to leave the mountain. We were rescued by some divers that were coming in a jeep, and they dropped us. We went to the police station, and later, and when we were reporting what was happening, they said, it is a miracle that you guys are alive, because they were actually investigating, I don't know how many murders that had happened in that area, and they were in the lead. They were investigating this. So we were able to give, because nobody had survived, so there was not really, these guys had not been identified, and we were able to just describe them and everything. But this is, again, this, when you are in that connection, you become supernatural, you become superhuman. You the potential of who you are is there waiting for you. So that's what I say, people, learn to quiet your mind, go to that place of silence, and you will be able to hear the voice of the inner, your inner wisdom. You will be able to know what to do, what to say, how to say it, because that's when you are open. I call it to the true thinking of the universe. That's when you're using the power of thinking in the right way. Bill, there was a time when the beings of light asked me, you think that you think that you're thinking? And I said, of course, I think all the time. And they said, or using the gift of thinking, true thinking the right way. And I said, what do you mean? They said, no, you're not thinking, you're remembering. Most of people are trapped in their own memories. Then you always, I imagine, and I got the analogy, the thought of a cow eating grass, and that grass is chewed, I don't know how many times, and go through 4 stomachs before you get something new. So it's like people are just stuck in the same. But when you quiet your mind, when you're in a moment of contemplation, a moment of silence, inner silence, now you can listen. And it's when you connect with the creative thinking of the universe. It's when the true thinking happens, the gift of thinking.
Wow. Now, at that time of your life, did this spur you on to study yoga, meditation, metaphysical things of any kind? And did you add that into your mixture of who and what you were doing?
You know, Bill, that came for me earlier in my life. When I started to talk to the beings of light when I was 4 years old, they said to me that I had to be quiet because people were not going to understand. I was so sad. But then they said that people were going to appear in my path to help me and to guide me. So that you may evolve for me. I didn't have to look for it. It came to my life. So the first person that actually validate who I was and I started to have clarity what was happening to me was my mom. Because at a school, at 5 years old, when I went to kindergarten, because the beings of light said I shouldn't talk, I started to draw. I was drawing beings of light everywhere. And it's when the teacher said, oh, Ingrid, she was curious because I was painting this stuff everywhere. And she said, oh, are these like the sun, the stars? And I said, no, those are my friends, the beings of light. Oh, okay, it's time to call your parents, because Ingrid was already strange. So she's having imaginary friends. My mom came to school, she looked at the drawings, and this is the other thing she discovered. I could see auras. But because I saw them, I didn't know nobody else really could see this around me. So, wow, she's seeing this stuff. And it's when I turned to my mom in this state of like, please believe me. And I said, Mom, these are the colors that we wear, and these are my friends, the beings of light. Because they were pointing at all this stuff. And then my mom pretty much said, be quiet. Like, she didn't say it, but she looked at me with the mom eyes like, silence. And I went silent because she didn't want me to be in trouble at a school. And then later she confessed to me, I believe you because I also see things that others cannot see. And she confessed to me that she could see spirits since she was like 3 years old. So it's when my mom say the same thing the beings of light said, you have to remain quiet because they're going to be scared. They don't understand. So wow, but that was incredible already knowing that my mom saw something too. At 6 years old, I started to see spirits. And it's when I told my mom, Mom, no, the beings of light and the spirits are not the same. Because the spirits were look different and they caused me fear. And it's when my mom say that what I was seeing were angels. And I said, Mom, but they don't have wings. So after that, I asked the beings of light, and the answer was amazing, because I thought they were going to say that we were different. And they say, no, look, that thing that you call spirits, you, us, we're all the same. The only difference is the awareness you have about who you know you are. The awareness, how clear are you about your true nature. So this was amazing, because it's like this door opening for me, like you're asking me, these things just came into my life. The next person was my grandmother. She was studying other philosophies. She was raised as Catholic, but she was very rebellious. She wanted to learn other things, and she came into my life. I was 8 years old, and she brought to home the picture of a guru meditating in a lotus position and with this big aura. And I was like, oh my God, I was like, oh, Grandma. And she just started to explain what a guru was, what meditation was. And so by 8 years old, she taught me how to meditate. Grandma and I became best friends. And by 12, she brought me to the first Buddhist temple, which in Colombia, that was unheard. But it was this little temple there. And always when I went there, and oh, I felt that sense of home, sense of connection, because later I had access to my past lives, and yeah, in one of my lives, a few lives, I've been a Buddhist monk. So to me, it was the sense of familiarity. I didn't know at that moment, but it was the sense like, oh, I feel the sense of peace. I feel at home. And then at the end of the practice, I learned a breathing meditation technique. And I said to the monk, my grandma's a very busy woman. I don't think we can come back. And the monk looked at me and said, Ingrid, you don't ever need to come back, because you already have a temple. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, yes, you are the temple. So wherever you are, you can practice this breathing meditation technique. Oh my God. So of course, I am the temple, and I am the guru of my own temple. So imagine, now I brought all this with me, and my grandma, she is amazing, because we don't know the purpose, we don't know the work we're doing. And she was in my life to bring all these teachings, all this knowledge. She was bringing books. So imagine, by 9 years old, I was already reading books like Self-Realization, a Parakshanobhuti. I was already reading the Bhagavad Gita. I was already, there was a book called The Book of Discernment. I was, and not long after, my grandmother introduced me to other spiritual teachers. And then thanks to other friends, I started, by 14, I was practicing transcendental meditation. And I was learning about Vedanta with this other group I joined with my grandmother. And she was in she joined an order called the Rosicrucian Order. So now I was learning also about ascended masters. And then it was incredible how all these teachings were coming to my life. Then later I joined a group called Mais, which was to learn about the Indian cultures of the Americas. I met a shaman that in a meeting in an outdoor incredible ceremony, the guy in front of 20 people, he stopped the rain. And it was pouring, raining, and it was only where we were standing, there was not rain. And he could do his ceremony. So I was witnessing and experiencing all these things in my life. So for me, you would put a book of metaphysics in my lap, in my hands, you would put all these books, and to me it was like, yes, oh yes. To me it was only validation. The beings of light talk about this, oh yes, and oh, I have experienced that, oh, in my past life this. I mean, and I started to have visions of the future since I was 4. At 4 I knew what I was going to study. At 9, who my husband was going to be. At 12 I was going to work for NASA. Also around 12, 14, I knew who my son was going to be, the name he was going to have. So just name it. It was just incredible. Yeah. And oh, again, you want to know all these stories? Here, they are in my book, A Brightly Guided Life.
And you are definitely following a brightly guided light. Now, I know this is probably a subject you may or maybe you want to talk about this, but your lovely mother passed away not that long ago, and you're still dealing with that, I'm assuming, on some level. Did you have any premonitions about this, or communications on this, or guidance on this before or after this happened?
I absolutely love you asking me this question. I didn't even think this will going to come. So this is great, great, Bill. Yes, because the answer is yes. After my mom passed, oh, this was so shocking because it just was the most unexpected thing. I mean, I know any passing is hard, but if the person has been sick for a while or something, you at the end you feel like it was best that she lived. But no, this just happened like in the most unexpected way. We knew she was very sick, and 2 weeks later she was gone. So the pain was unbearable. And I have received, I think this has been one of the greatest actually teachings in my life, Bill, because there was a moment, because I had a near-death experience, because I have had all these mystical spiritual experiences, people would think, oh, you're good to go, you know, your mom is good, nothing is happening. And it's when I realized, no, that's not true. That's not true. My heart was aching so bad. And it's that place where I realize no matter how spiritual you are, you don't stop feeling. The difference is how you manage that pain. That's the difference. How you face it, how you meet that pain in you. So there was a moment in which I was experiencing so much pain, so much suffering because of her passing, that I asked the beings of light, what is all this pain for? And they said, to claim the light back, to claim the light. And I say, how so? And then they said, look, that hole that you feel in your chest, that hole that you feel in your belly, that sense of like, oh gosh, I guess the best description is just call it a big hole of emptiness, of sadness. They said that is there because you love her so much. So claim that love back. Feel that hole, feel that emptiness with that love. Claim the love, claim the light back. So to me, is become this, I would just say, experiment. That's what I am, a scientist. Everything is experiential. I say spirituality is science, because if you start doing things, if you start following the guidance and doing it, then now you're becoming the proof of it. So to me, it's like I don't run away from that pain. I don't run away from my emotions. I have learned to face them. And then I invite that emotion. And what I do is like, there's a reason why it's there, how I can work with this. And feeling this pain in my chest, I just have, I see it how it just gets filled with light. I embrace that pain. I embrace the knowing I feel this because I love so much. And there's another teaching I just received recently, and it was about grief. I really didn't know what grief really was because I never lost somebody I love so much. So this is all, I would say, well, this is all that path of opening ourselves to also feel empathy, to feel compassion, to feel kindness. Oh, to be in that place where we can really relate with others. But then this was the other thing. I really don't know anything in reality about grieving. And then I had a vision not long ago in which I met, it was this being of light. I met him, and this being of light in that vision invited me to do something joyful, to have fun. And I said, my answer at that moment, I said, I cannot do that. And the being asked me, why not? And I said, because I am grieving. But listen to this, my grief didn't come just from the passing of my mom. That was just a part of it. My grieving is when I had a whole, like a whole movie presenting in front of me. And it's when I saw that my grieving came from, even from the time when I had my near-death experience and I had to come back. I was grieving because I didn't want to be back. And then I saw how I was grieving in so many times in my life, even when, I don't know, many things happened. My parents divorced, whatever it was, I moved. I had this person that hurt me. How grieving was a mix of so much. And how the underline of my life in so many occasions have been that of sadness. And they explained to me there's 3 reasons why you would grieve. Because lost, of course, but it's not just the loss of a person, the loss of a pet, the loss of a job, the loss of an opportunity. These things can bring us to grief. And they said the other reason you could be grieving is because of change. When you move to a different place, when you, even people that get too attached to materialistic things, any change can bring grieving. And they said the other reason you could grieve is due to disappointment. So imagine all the times we have been disappointed. So that brought me to realize how humanity in general, how all of us, wow, are grieving one way or another so much. But this was not all. Okay, now understanding that we are grieving, that's a big one. But now what? What do we do with it? And that's when they show me that how in the Eastern culture, sorry, the Western, they show me how the Eastern and the Western culture are different managing grieving. They show me how we don't have a process for grieving. And then it's at that moment they show me, like in a vision, all the cultures, like with the Indian cultures, like that's what shamans, with the, even with, I don't know, with the Germanic, with Indian, with African cultures, how many cultures. And in the past, I was seeing all the ancestors, how they would dance, how they will talk, how they will play drums, how they will dance and listen to music. And there was so many things done to help with grieving. And they even showed me movements. They said to me, do this. Anything that produces vibration, any sound that you use with using the vowels, because anything that produces vibration help you balance energy. So it's amazing how we have forgotten to feel and how we have forgotten to help each other to go back to that place of balance. The moment that I ignore my grieving, I ignore my pain, I run away from it, I thought I resolved it. No, I amplify it. Because now I'm holding it within, and it's pretty much I'm using it as a weapon against myself. It's when sickness happen, depression happen, uh, anger happen, and then there's the dysfunctional behavior start happening. But if we learn the way to release it, so they show me that was incredible. Just shake your. They say, why do you think that dogs shake their bodies? Animals, cats, is a way to balance, to release their energy. So it's incredible, yeah, how the passing of my mom had taught me so much. And the more I started to again connect, but connect with love. And yeah, I feel sad. I embrace that sadness. I feel the emptiness or that hole with light, with love, with compassion for myself. I started to hear my mom. And now we have that incredible communication. I even in the mornings, I haven't eaten breakfast yet. And my mom, you haven't eaten breakfast yet. Or you haven't water, you have to go water the plants. She's talking to me. She's present everywhere. I feel her love and I miss her. It doesn't mean that I don't miss her. I feel sad. I wish she physically was here, but we are connected, and we are, that connection is actually stronger than ever. I feel her everywhere, and she's part of everything.
Well, since you've experienced this grieving process and the world as a whole, the United States in particular, we're getting ready to have 300,000 dead here pretty soon from the virus. So there's a lot of families out there that are dealing with that. I got 5 or 6 personal friends that have died in the last 3, 4 months, a couple last week. So it's hitting every level, not just old people like me knowing somebody that dies, but it's a lot of different levels. What advice would you give people on how to handle their their grieving? What advice would you give them how to cope?
I think from what I've been learning from the Being So Light, and is the process I have done myself. But I wish people could, and more people are opening to do. I mean, nowadays doing gatherings is hard, but there's a lot of gatherings we can do in Zoom. Don't be alone. I mean, if it is so good to be surrounded by people that are open to listen. I think part of my healing, not just with grieving, but with my whole, um, I would just say history in life. But there was a point in my life where I fell into this very, very deep depression. And it was meeting people that were open to listen. I think when we listening, the true listening, wow, carries an incredible, I think it is miraculous, because we heal just by be open to listen, and by it is mutual thing to listen to others, and feel that we're being listened. So I think if people will have the chance, there's so many things happening right now, and there's I love the people that are using, like, they reunite around music, like the sound of drums is incredible. Music, if you have the chance, give it to, don't feel bad about this, give to you the chance to, even if you play music and you dance by yourself. Like I was just showing to you a minute ago, the Being So Light was showing me, like, literally move, shake your body, shake your hands, do this by yourself. If you don't still want to talk to anybody, allow yourself to shake it out. I said, people, give yourself a moment where you can walk. More than sitting meditation, a person that is grieving, it's better if you do walking meditation. This is another thing they were showing me, how the senses, our five senses, are actually gifts for us to open the door to awareness. Why? Because if I walk in silence and I feel give myself the chance to feel the wind, to listen to the birds, to smell the flowers, or the smell of the earth, whatever it is, just give yourself to use this as a portal of connection. And then go for that walking meditation, be in nature. Nature is amazing too. All these are our pointers to go back within. Nature, wow, can help us relax. So I just say to people, use what we have available there. Go for that walk, meet a friend that is open to listen, go dance, shake your body, listen to drums, listen music that helps you relax, anything that brings you to quiet your mind, to make you feel good. I think when you feel good, look at this is good, because when you feel good, I said gratefulness. What brings you to state of gratefulness? To feel great. When we are do things to feel good, to feel great, then we elevate our vibrational frequency. We balance ourselves. So give yourself, even if you're grieving so much, you don't want to give permission yourself to have fun because that doesn't feel good. Do it yourself. Shake your hands a little, shake your arms, go for a walk, take your shoes off and walk on the grass. If there is snow, just touch that snow. Do things that make you go back to the connection with the body. Be connected. You know, the big teaching, the purpose of my near death experience, Bill, was to bring the message of the power of connection. Is that connection with each other that can, bring us the true connection, can bring us again to that place of feeling great, to experiencing gratefulness, to elevating ourselves. So when I asked the beings of light what was the purpose of my near death experience, they said to me, to bring the message of the power of connection. And I said, how come? They said, look, when you drown and you saw your body in the water, what did you do? You left it behind. And I said, yes, I wasn't, I didn't want to be in that body. And I said, yes, but guess what? That was not the plan of the universe. And that's clear because you're here. And I said, yeah, I see that. And they said, because you were going to come back is the reason you went to meet the maid, the caregiver that's supposed to be taking care of me, and your mom. I'm like, oh, I never thought that. Of course. Then I said, okay, if I was going to come back and that was the plan, why did I waste time visiting the maid? And they said, because that's the point. That's where we want to show you contrast. Look what happened when there is no connection. You went to the room of this lady, she couldn't even feel your presence. This person didn't have any love for you. She didn't have any connection with you. So she completely didn't feel like absolutely anything. She was in her own world. What happened when you went to meet your mom? Complete love, what we call unconditional love. And love, like I mentioned before, doesn't have barriers. You were in the spirit realm, your mom were here, and she could feel you, she could hear you. And she was the one that went back and saved you. So it's when they said to me, look what happened. When there is not connection, they will let you drown. When there is no connection, there would be war. So we are here to just work together. I just love the example of the fingers and the hand. Yeah, each one of us is unique. But if you cut this finger off, it cannot do anything. If you're by yourself, if you want to try to resolve life by yourself, what can you do? You feel that you lost your power. You don't know what to do. But what happened when we use that uniqueness, the incredible being that we are in connection with others. Now we are stronger. Now, we create working in community. That's just amazing. So I show how is the uniqueness that at the end encompasses oneness, all the fingers attached to one hand. So that's why it's so important. And that's why all the ceremonies, the beings of light were showing me, were done in community, in groups. Like, how can we find that place, that community, that gathering where you can actually be open, where you can share, where you feel that you're safe. And then if you can share a moment of even silence with others, or music, or dancing, laughing, smiling, wow, now you are in connection. You feel good, you experience gratitude, appreciation, you elevate yourself. You go to balance, and now you can deal with anything, grieving, depression. Those things start diminishing, because now you are balancing yourself with, one, the recognition, I feel this way, what I do with it. And also another thing I have learned from the emotions, Bill, they are there to show us something. What I think I'm lacking, what do I need to correct within myself? What is this experience showing me? There's purpose behind everything. So my prayer nowadays is not, when I pray, I don't ask to God to change things. I ask to God to help me see what I cannot see. Please, God, help me see because I am blind. Help me understand, what is this for? What is the purpose behind this? And then now I can see that everything that is happening in life, every challenge for me, is not an obstacle, but an opportunity to keep growing, to keep evolving, to be more compassionate, to be more kind, to create that closeness, that connection with others.
Well, that's a good place to leave this. If you, anybody watching this out there, or all those people watching this, if you want to learn more, that should have whet your appetite right there. Everybody's got a unique path. Nobody's got the same destiny, other than the same destiny is becoming one, right? It's something that's already happened. We just haven't realized it. But we all have a unique way of getting down the road. And Ingrid, you certainly had a unique path. But you know what? All the people that you and I know, mutually together, we know a lot of people that had unique paths. Anyway, let's tell the people how they can find you on your website, how they can find your book.
Yes, yes. So my website is like it is written here, ingridhonkala.com. And my book, A Brightly Guided Life, How a Scientist Learned to Hear Her Inner Wisdom. And you can find my book in Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And I also have a YouTube channel where I share teachings and meditations and all the interviews I have done. So yes, it's just, let's stay connected.
And you're open to people if they wanted to contact you through your website. Do you have an email address on there or something on the website?
Yes, there's a place of connection, how a contact tab in my website. And I also do sessions, Bill, and I am starting to create a community. So I'm working on it, because I do sessions and people want to stay connected, and I also want to know what is happening with them. But I receive so many emails. I know you understand how this can get overwhelming at times. And so I reached the point where I cannot answer to everybody. So I decided, let's create this community where I can do monthly gatherings and answer questions and discuss the book and whatever else. So this is I'm planning on creating now.
Good. And we've talked about this in the past, along with several other people that have had near deaths, and other mystical people, about maybe doing a group thing sometime down the road. So don't be surprised you watch this video that you'll see Ingrid and I showing up together again at some other event someplace. But thank you very much, Ingrid. And if you want to know more about her, read the caption that talks about this video, and I will have her website listed on that, and the book title and other pertinent information. God bless you, and thanks for sharing the morning with me. Blessings and peace.